This is going to be an extremely busy month. I have to watch 104 soccer games, follow the pregame, the postgame, yell useless opinions at the TV. It's a lot. So I knew that when it comes to screening for colon cancer, the choice was clear. The Cologuard Plus test. It can be used at home and can only take 15 minutes, so I can do it during halftime and not miss any action. If you are 45 or older and at average risk, ask your healthcare provider about screening for colon cancer with the Cologuard test. You can also request a prescription at Cologuard.com.
This episode is brought to you by Google Health. Stop chasing someone else's definition of health. What matters is what's healthy for you. Google Health offers a new kind of coach built with Gemini for effortless tracking, sleep insights, and holistic coaching tailored to you. Visit googlestore.com to learn more and start a new relationship with your health. Requires Google account, Google Health app, internet, and Google Health premium subscription. Features subject to change. Availability and results vary. Not intended for medical purposes. Works independently of Gemini apps. Check responses for accuracy.
Cats and Cosby, entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, guess what? America, United States, has hit Iran again. They dared shoot a few drones at one of the cargo ships, and the United States has hit. They hit what? The drone. Some drone factories and
they hit a whole
radar
bunch.
Facilities and what else?
Well, you know what's interesting, John, is President Trump. This is his way to say we know exactly where you're launching these from. Here's the message. And so yesterday, Iran hit this Singapore cargo ship. 4 drones, 3 were taken out. 1 hit the ship and apparently caused a lot of damage. And President Trump said, okay, this is a violation of the ceasefire, obviously. And so he hit today, just a few minutes ago, they struck Iranian missile and drone storage locations and also radar sites that were used, obviously, on this attack. Clearly sending a message to the IRGC, don't mess with the U.S., John.
Trump means business. And at a certain point, I think he has to hit some of those IRGC, yeah.
I agree. And, John, to me, I'm curious, when is he going to hit some of those headquarters tied to the IRGC? Because clearly they're trying to sabotage this deal. And President Trump recognizes that they're going to continue being a nuisance. It's this back and forth. What's interesting is President Trump came out with a message today and said this is a foolish violation of the ceasefire. Like this is a nuisance, but we're not going to allow a nuisance.
I'm not sure they have control over it.
Yeah, that's the question. You're right. There's so many players.
There's got to be multi-players involved. And it's like if the United States had 50 governors that were running the country.
Oh, my goodness.
Could you imagine 50 governors running the country? Well, that's what's going on right now in Iran.
Yeah, Governor Patterson said he could imagine 50 governors.
Yeah, absolutely.
You think Governor Newsom would attack?
As long as he listened to me, it would work.
What about Governor Walz in Minnesota? What would he do?
No comment.
And
that's called chaos.
Stuff. Trump had made a lot of statements during the week.
Yeah, and today, actually, he spoke at the Faith and Freedom Coalition. And one of the things he said, I am praying for America, guys, with everything that's happening with socialism. And he talked about the spread of socialism and how it really is a cancer, not just in New York, but elsewhere, also around the country. And because of that, he said, we have to keep an eye on this. It is a cancer. It is a problem. And we cannot allow it to fester. And he said, everybody, you got to get out and vote. Your thoughts about that, Governor Patterson? Because look at what happened this week. Look at what happened this week with the case of Daria Lisa Chevalier, who was up against Adriano Espaillat. She won with 2,300 votes. So if people had gotten out and vote, we could have a different deal than a woman who says you should abolish ICE and abolish the police, John. I mean, it all comes down to numbers.
The Pentagon and wants the destruction of Western civilization. She's a real winner.
Governor Patterson?
She got 7% of the vote. There's 700,000 people that live in that congressional district. And she got about 5% of them to vote. There were other people who voted for others. But my thing is, I don't see any way that the socialists, by beating moderate Democrats, are going to be a threat to Republicans around the country. I mean, I'm not saying President Trump is wrong. Everybody should get out to vote. But find me a socialist that comes even close to a Republican in November, and I'll take back what I said.
The problem, Governor, is that they're going to jam up governing. They're going to jam up the House, and they're going to make it more difficult to pass meaningful legislation that protects and defends this country and helps the American people. They go out there, and they're not there to accomplish good things. They're there to send an ideological message to undermine this country, and they're not going to help govern effectively.
And you know the problem I see, you guys.
That's their intent. When it happens, Judge, call me.
All right. Well, I'll call you right now, okay? Because and here's the reason why. Hakeem Jeffries today, you would have thought it was like there was a fly on the wall when he was asked a question. They're afraid of them. That's the problem, that they are so ideologically crazy that the common sense ones are being devoured by them, and they're afraid to stand up to them. So that's the problem.
Rita, I agree with you. They are afraid to stand up to them. I don't know why he's so afraid of anything, because under his leadership, they haven't gotten anywhere, and they are open to that kind of takeover from the socialists. I'm just saying that if the socialists win these races, and now they're taking on the Republicans, they won't stand a chance.
Well, and I agree that is a problem, and that's a problem for the Democratic Party. It's a problem for America, too.
President Trump said something else about the rent freeze that were going on in New York.
Yes, he said that this is so dangerous, and he took Mayor Mondani to task. He said what the mayor doesn't say is that these buildings will soon turn into ghettos and slums, and that everybody will continue leaving New York.
Of course, because this is a deliberate, calculated effort.
And explain what happened to that, because the big vote that happened, it looked like the fix was in.
You had the Rent Guidelines Board. It was packed by Mondani loyalists. One of the people who represented the landlords withdrew, resigned. She wasn't part of this sham. It was predetermined. They never calculated the real cost to the landlords, which makes it a violation of their obligation under the law. They're supposed to talk about what the costs are to the landlords to give them a reasonable return so they can maintain the buildings. How are landlords supposed to pay the insurance, the employees, the maintenance of the building? How are they supposed to do that? The real property taxes? They can't. So what's going to happen is, and they're going to be fined for not maintaining. So then Mondani has another gambit, bad landlord group, and they're going to assess fines when they can't pay the fines or it's deemed a bad landlord. Under this attempt, they're going to seize private property and take over the property, which is the communized private property here in New York. If Mondani was serious about a landlord that was awful, take a look at public housing in New York. Clean that up first, Mr. Mayor. Leave the small property owners alone. This is an awful thing. It's unconstitutional. It's a violation of Fifth Amendment due process, and it should be turned over immediately by the courts.
So here's the question. It looks like clearly politics played a role versus the facts, right?
Absolutely, Rita. Couldn't have said it better.
All right. So Governor Patterson, Democrat, your thoughts?
My thoughts are that they left themselves open to a lawsuit, and a lot of this could be rescinded.
And what happens to New York? If you drive these people further out, there's already like a caravan of people leaving. And with the policies, now you socket, you've got 3 socialists coming in. And then you've got this. And by the way, it's 2 years, too. It's a 2-year rent freeze, remember, too, that he put in, which is unusual, too. So they're really socking it. What's going to happen to New York, Governor Patterson?
Well, obviously, the more difficult it is to live in a lot of those apartments, and also the more difficult it is just to live in the city, they're going to find other places.
Yeah, outside of New York, and it's gonna be brutal, I think. And look, when people see the philosophy, the open the borders, no TSA, no this, no that. The problem with these people, and we talked about this a bit, you guys, before the election of Mondani, they are true believers. That's the problem. They're actually living up to their campaign promises. I wish they weren't, but sadly they are.
They are. They're committed to destroying this country. They're a clear and present danger. You have a marriage of what they call the red and the green, the communists and the Islamists. And that's what these guys are doing. That they're taking over the city, they'll take over the state, and they're moving across the country. Look at the elections all across the country in blue cities. They're electing socialists, not moderate Democrats. They're electing socialists and Islamists. And this is very, very dangerous for the future of America.